That is this. One second here. All righty. All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the Chicago Computer Society June meeting of the West Side. Tonight, I am your temporary host. Sanford is not available. And so I will be not only hosting the meeting, I will also be doing the primary presentation tonight. So what I'm going to do is open up the floor to Q&A, problems, tips, tricks, and anybody's got something new they want to share with the rest of us. Come on, people.
Well, I'll start it then. I think I've talked to you before, Tim, about on Tech for Seniors, but I have a Dell computer that upgraded from 10 to 11. It's a commercial, I would say business computer rather than commercial, and it has the M.2 memory, and I guess it's about 3 or 4 years old. But I was able to upgrade from 10 to 11, but I can get 22H. Is it 22
Yeah.
or something? Any rate, I can't go to 23. And I did one of the things you mentioned to do was a Windows check or whatever it's called.
Yeah, you want to go to the Microsoft site. You want to download PC Health Check, and
Yeah, I
odds
did that.
are,
Yeah.
when you run it, it'll say you got a TPM problem.
Well, I think you mentioned, I thought it was you that talked about the version of 7 that I have on my processor versus, I think it had to be greater. I think it came back, it had to be greater than 7 or something, which I don't have on my
8.
memory.
No, that's on your CPU chip. You need the
CPU.
8th generation or higher.
Right, I have a 7th generation.
Yeah, you're not gonna. The only way you can run 11 on that legitimately and truthfully is you have to use unsupported version of 11. And what you have to do there is you have to download a program called Rufus, and it's RUFUS. And it's available in a lot of places, Nat. What it does is you stick in, bring up the program, stick in a flash drive that has nothing of value to it on it. The smaller, the better. You're gonna need at least 8 gigs or 16 gigs on that flash drive, and it's going to take over that flash drive.
You put
And
Rufus on the flash drive?
no, you
Oh,
download it to your machine, you run it off of your machine, then you stick in the flash drive. When you run the program, it should recognize as the top line your flash drive. Then it has the next line, some options, and to the right of it is a select button. And hopefully to the right of that is a check mark. It's called for the portable version. So when you do Rufus download, get the portable version, not the full install version. Otherwise, you don't get that check mark. Then you do click on that little down arrow to the right of the select button, and you'll get 2 options. select a program that's already on your machine, or select download. Select download. A little window will pop up, and usually the default is 11. It will create a 11 install disk that disables all of the security features. And yours, now 24H2 brings in a new factor of what's called a microcode called pop count. If you got any Intel Core i3, 5, 7, or 9, don't worry about it. It's there. If you've got a Pentium and Celeron processors, that gets to be a little muddier area because I don't know where the cutoff is for old Celerons and Pentiums that might not have pop count. If you have an AMD system, if you have a
It's a non-issue for me because I have i3.
if you have a Ryzen, it should work on all of them, supported or unsupported.
I have an i3, so it's not an issue.
Right. I have 3s, 5s, and 7s. I don't have any 9s. Anybody?
All right, I'll look into it. Thank you for the information and tip.
Yeah.
I'm running 11 now. It's just that I can't go to 23H.
If you bought it used, some of them loaded up. But what they're loading up is the unsupported. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that when they're selling it, that it's the unsupported version. That's the headache. And I called a couple of them on the carpet about that, and they just ignored me. They're going to put it on as a selling point to begin with on older equipment, and they don't care if you understand how to support unsupported versions of 11. If you're a person who's never called Microsoft for support, you wouldn't even know the difference, okay? Because if you have Carl's version, and I've got versions here too that are unsupported, if I call Microsoft and I let them know what's going on in it, they're going to figure out you're on unsupported hardware, you're running an unsupported version. They would probably want a credit card and charge me an arm and a leg, and they already, if you call for support, want a credit card, and it costs a fair amount of money to get their help. You're better off with neighbors, friends, families, or groups like the user groups to get the information and be able to deal with it. And that's a very, very unfortunate side effect. But I've got two ancient machines in front of me. They're both over 15 years old. One is Intel. It will not run it because it's a Core 2 dual or quad. That's too old. It doesn't have the microcode instruction to go from 23H2 to 24H2. And at the same time, you have the other one is a AMD. I can't remember the product name now, but there were two versions, and I've got a Type 2 in it. It's slow as molasses running 10, but if I take a 2.5-inch drive, a USB adapter that's got Windows 11 unsupported on it, and I plug it into the USB port, which is only Type 2 USB, it runs faster than the internal Windows 10. And they're both on SSDs. So figure that one out. It's a headache. it's unfortunate too that there's a bunch of people that were probably running 11 unsupported on older Intel processors. They heard about the 24H2 wouldn't run on those older ones because they don't have probably the pop count microcode in the CPU chip. I'm sorry, they do. You have to have something older than the Core i processors. If you got a Core i processor and you got the little label that says I got a Core i3, a Core i5, Core i7, Core i9, you don't have a problem. It runs. I even have an old Pentium laptop, and trust me, even Linux doesn't run that great on it. But it's got a Pentium N as in Nancy 3710 processor. It even supports TPM, which amazed the heck out of me. So,
Well, I'm gonna go. It's a desktop machine. I'm gonna go
I've got,
do a version on it and see what. I know it's an i3, but I don't know how many cores it has. This machine
uh,
came off of, it was a business
with a
lease.
7, it's probably 4 cores.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
It's fast. Let me tell you, it's a fast machine.
The 8th gen had 6 cores, so did 9. I think 10 and 11 did too. And then I think around 12 they upped the number of cores by 2.
Do I do a version on the command line to
No,
see what?
you go to Start button, uh, go up to Settings, click on System, scroll down in the right pane to the bottom, which is About.
Oh yeah.
And then up at the top, it tells you about your hardware. And you'll see there Core i3 hyphen, what's the next number?
Okay, I'll try
What's that
that.
number?
Well, I'm not
Oh,
using
you
that
didn't look
machine.
at it. Okay.
It's a desk machine. I'm using my laptop that
Well,
came with
if
11.
it's got only a 3-digit number, that's the first generation. Otherwise, it'll have a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 going to 5 digits, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Those are all the generations.
I'll look it up and get back to you before the end of the meeting. Somebody else can, I'm hogging up too much time here, so um,
Okay, anybody got
I'm ready
anything
for
else?
somebody else's question.
No, it's a
So I have a
legitimate
question.
question what you brought up.
This is Bob from Seattle. I have a question. If I'm out of line with this question, just tell me to pass it on. Um, I tried to get to your Linux meeting at the end of last month and I wasn't able to get in. Did you actually have one?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I think it's posted at the moment on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
I The only thing I can think of is the possibility I didn't see that you were trying to get in and
It could be.
didn't click on it. Usually I have to run solo. I can't get
I understand.
co-hosts.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what was the rest of my question? So I missed the previous month because I was relocating for my daughter's house back home with my wife, and her knee is doing great.
Uh,
Um, but
both
I
of
was able to go online and see the April show, and it was great.
Yeah.
However, there are a bunch of attachments. Is there any way I can get those
How much are
links?
you willing to pay?
How much am I willing to pay?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about a membership?
Okay. I'll take that.
Okay. I'll
I'll
send
send
it.
you
I think
the
it's an
April and
out-of-state membership, so you give me a discount. That's what I was told.
yeah, $15.
Yeah. Okay.
The I'll send you the April and the May attachments that I normally give out.
Okay.
And the May should be up there on the YouTube channel also.
Great.
Now this, and that brings up a point here. Since Sanford is not available, I don't know when this meeting's video will go up. Number two, uh, I think it's somewhere around the 12th of the month. Hang on a minute here. No, 11th. Sorry. June 11th is normally the TNT meeting. He hopes to be back in time to do that one. Otherwise, I may have to substitute for that one also. But it's my material anyhow that he's using, so I have to get on the stick and get my material up to date. Anybody else got anything? No other
Again, I
questions?
have something that's probably off mark for what you're doing here. Um, I'm also playing with Linux and with my local Linux group, which starts a meeting in an hour or so. We have built a server where I store a lot of my data from my PCs. And recently, I've hit folders that I can't open because I don't have permission. We use TrueNAS. I don't know if anybody's familiar with TrueNAS. I'm not.
I'm
Um,
only aware of the product. I'm not familiar with it, but it's a Linux base, so you have to treat it as Linux to get permissions, and you'll have to use probably authorization with the sudo password.
okay.
I'm almost
Well,
positive of
we're
that.
going to talk about that at our Linux group tonight, and we have a couple of TrueNAS experts.
The other is I had asked for some of the ideas from other people at the Linux meeting that what they were looking for. One of them did ask about a Linux server, and I am in the process, but I don't have a timeline right now. I have a machine. I've got to get drives and stuff like that, but I've already got CPU and memory that I'm going to use. But I don't know whether I'm going to set it up as just TrueNAS or set it up with Ubuntu or Debian server first and then add in other stuff. I haven't made that decision yet. I'm still in the research phase.
We built these servers with Proxmox,
Okay,
two of them,
there is that
and one of
too.
them has the database, and we use snapshots, I think it's called, to make backups of changes to the second one.
Right.
And it's been running since December.
Oh yeah.
And has generally been okay. But recently I found that I've got some folders when I get on a Windows machine that it will not open the folder, much less the files that are in it. So
Mm,
it's a challenge, but
now
that's what life's about.
you brought up another wrinkle there, and that is the fact that the files and that you're trying to access are protected by Windows.
Yes,
And you may not be able to use the Linux normal process to gain access.
maybe. Some of them I can and some of them I can't. So I don't know what the logic is for that because they all came from Windows.
Can't
I've
answer
been
the
building them
question.
for 10 years.
The only thing I can think of there would be if you have more than one user on the Windows system, each person has their own authority and ownership, and now you're trying to access it through a Linux style operating system.
Yeah.
And that's where you may be having a rub. You might be able to take it, you don't want to take it over. If you take it over, you change ownership. So that's an issue. The only thing I can think of is you can try and somehow get it to accept you as an administrator level person to access it. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
Yeah. Appreciate the input.
All
I'll
right.
let you know later what we determined.
Okay. Anybody else
Thanks.
got any questions, issues, tips, tricks, something new to share?
Well, the one thing I can say, by the way, about folder permissions between Windows and Linux, usually Linux can get into any Windows folder no matter who owned it. However, sometimes it has to be as root.
Ah, that's a good tip. But that's the same as being the administrator. When you're in root
Yeah.
mode, that's like going into command line and doing a sudo su argument, give the
Right.
password, and now you are locked in as a root administrator until you exit.
Yeah, another way of doing that is just use your File Explorer. Now, on a NAS server, you wouldn't do this, but you use your File Explorer in root mode, which simply means you do a sudo launch of the File Explorer, Nemo,
Whatever.
Nautilus, whatever. And usually in root mode, most Windows folders are accessible.
Okay.
I have had a few exceptions. There's also some problems. Some so-called folders in Windows aren't folders. Libraries are not folders.
Correct.
And,
Library is just a link.
And there is something called a junction in the
Yes.
Windows file system.
Yes.
That's not a folder, but in Windows, it will either show up as a folder or it will be invisible. If
Yeah.
it's invisible in Windows, it's because there is a special denial of permission so that it doesn't cause an infinite loop when you're copying files. I had one of those junctions accidentally get exposed one time, and file copying from that area took forever and made multiple copies.
Haven't run across that problem, but and I apologize to the rest of you, Ned, how
Yeah.
much Linux got into this meeting, which is normally Windows.
Yeah, well, this is a Windows thing about permissions,
Mhm.
and it's a Windows thing about junctions.
Got
Okay.
a foot in each camp.
And it's a general storage server issue, which also spans into Windows.
Jim Freeberg, I think you had a question.
I'm curious. I ran into this software package a month ago or so. Hope to be able to play with it a little bit. Never found the time. So I'm curious, has anybody used this software called Glasswire?
I played with it a little bit. I didn't get deep enough into it because I was too tied up. Glasswire is a security type program. I'm pretty sure that'll run on just about anything, meaning Windows, Linux, and Mac. But I'm not 100% certain on that because the last time I remember playing with it was several years back. But
Okay.
Glasswire, I'm at least familiar with what it is, and it's considered to be a pretty good product. And if I'm not in error, I think I vaguely remember somebody using Glasswire to effectively set up a VPN. But if you're on Windows, you can set up a local VPN to access your computer from somewhere other than your home. But you have to set up certain things on your network interface card in the computer you leave running. It will go to sleep, but when it gets the right signal per se, it will turn on your computer or wake it up, and then you can log into it using what's called SSH. That's another territory you have to get into, whether it's Windows, Linux, etc. But Linux comes with an SSH client. Windows does not. You'll have to add it in, and you have to create secure keys so that from your remote device you can log in through even public Wi-Fi to your system, and from your device, wherever you're at, all the way to your home computer is all encrypted. When you are using a regular VPN from another company, you are going from your machine to that company's server wherever it's located. And lots of them have multiple sites around the world. You are logging into there. And after that point there, wherever you're trying to attach to, let's just call it ccn.com, it now is unencrypted from that server to CNN's server to get your content. This is how you can use a VPN to go from the United States to, say, the UK, and look at the British TV BBC system, and other nations around Europe as well.
Well, I'm more interested in the aspect that they allegedly can tell you all the traffic that's sort of going through your system and out on the network or out on the internet, where it's going, or where stuff is coming from. And
Yes.
that's sort of the part that I was intrigued by, shall we say.
Well, I will tell you, it can be an overload depending on what you have running on your system and what is talking. For example, one of those things would be telemetry going to Microsoft along with any other information. And then you have the Microsoft Store. You might have Google in play. You may have Amazon in play. God knows how many other things, and it gets kind of muddy. So you have to know how to set up filters to only show things other than the ones you are not interested in.
Well, that's partly where I was interested in whether that software does in fact have those kind of capabilities.
I'm pretty sure it has filters. Otherwise, it would be almost useless. But you have to use reverse logic. You can say, hey, I already know this traffic is going through at this identification. Okay, that's a forward filter. But you need a reverse filter that says, I don't want Microsoft, I don't want Google, I don't want Amazon, etc., etc. I want everything else. And then you start adding more things to the not list to reduce your traffic of stuff that is normally being communicated, and just say, this is the stuff that's strange, or I'm downloading. Where am I downloading from? Am I downloading from mainland China? Am I downloading from North Korea? Something, etc., etc. Well, that's what you're really looking for. But until you get reverse filters to say, this is stuff I'm not interested in, show me anything else.
Okay.
That's what it amounts to. That you're talking about something that can be interesting, but it's also very, very time consuming.
That's what I was afraid of. Okay, thanks.
All right. Anybody got anything else?
Well, I have a question.
Why?
A couple of pieces of software that I was told weren't very valuable at all were CCleaner and Glare Utility.
Who said they were not valuable?
Well, what's the name? What was it? Geek Solutions.
Who's?
And I think it's a scam. Geek Solutions.
There are lots of individuals in this world, and we don't all agree with the same ideas. So there are some people who may think those are useless tools. I think in large part they're speaking from ignorance. I've been using CCleaner and Glare Utilities for over 2 decades. And if you take the time to learn each utility and what it can do for you, they've even added features to each one of them to be able to do more things for you. And one of the things that Glare Utility in particular will do is give you the ability to see and turn off things running in your system you don't need to run, whether it's at startup or it's on a schedule assignment. Schedule assignment means at various times, depending on what was set up, it will launch a program, run it, do something, and then it may stop or stays running thereafter. Some use it for a delayed start. Some use it to say, okay, I want to be able to collect some information when you run certain programs. And therefore, I will launch in the background under a schedule the trigger that starts launching that application also. So there's a lot of people, and this is one of the real headaches you got, whether it's doing Google style searches, whether you're doing going out on YouTube. You're going to get a lot of different views and opinions and reasons for things. If the reasons sound plausible, maybe there's something to it. If you know what the program is doing, then it's a case where, are you happy with what it's doing or not? The one thing that I will say, both utilities can do cleanup of garbage files. Okay. I discovered a long time ago, we're talking a couple decades back, no one program for cleanup does an absolute job. I normally run anywhere between 2 and 4 different cleanup programs, and I would say in the last couple of years I've added a 5th and a 6th. And these programs each see things. It's called perspective. Each one of us has a different perspective on any topic in life that we come across. And our perspective can also be thought of as a bias from our knowledge, our education, everything like that, our experiences. And so you have a lot of different variations as to what is good, what is not. If that person or group is saying they're bad, I've got a different one. It's far superior. Maybe there's some truth to it, but they also may be fooling themselves. I even use BleachBit. BleachBit comes from the Linux world for cleanup. I run that on Windows as well because it'll run there. It doesn't do when you're in Linux, there's 3 major groups. BleachBit does the most on Debian-based Linux distros. On RPM, like Fedora, OpenSUSE, and also Arch-based Linuxes, it's more like what it does on Windows. It doesn't do as quite as much, but almost as much. And it gives you good feedback. It'll pull out some things in BleachBit that you have to use other utilities for to pull out, such as you did a Windows upgrade. Well, you may have anywhere between a few hundred to 25, 30 gigabytes of storage tied up in old files from the old setup of Windows, not the current setup of Windows. And that's all trash that can be gotten rid of. And BleachBit, a lot of times, will take it out. There are Microsoft Windows utilities that'll take that out. But not all are free either. Some are free, some are not. The ones I've just brought up are all free. They're part of Microsoft Windows, and BleachBit is open source. They don't charge anything. So
Okay.
you got to be careful. And I've seen a lot of good intentioned people post things out on the internet thinking something is bad. And in most instances, if you read enough about what they're talking about, they haven't a clue what they're really talking about. And a person like myself, in my experience, and probably Bob Baxter, Bob Premick, etc., have enough knowledge and experience that we would probably recognize that they don't know what they're talking about. They had good intentions for what they posted. They're trying to stop other people from falling into something bad or useless. And it may be the farthest thing from the truth. Bob Premick?
Yeah, I don't know whether this is a site or was this a website, or were these people, was this a company that you were talking to, Tom?
It was a company.
It was a company.
I was forwarded to them when I called Geek Squad to try and set up an appointment to have a printer looked at. Somehow I was forwarded to this company.
Okay, so this company is this company is working as some kind of a contractor with the Best Buy Geek Squad.
Supposedly, and I don't think it is. I think it was a scam of some type that I somehow got into it.
No, they could be a subcontractor, but now you've given some context to who said it. And the people who said it are people who make money by cleaning up your computer for you. And they don't like when you can clean up your computer for yourself.
Yeah,
And this is one reason why they won't recommend that you use free antivirus. They won't recommend that you use Windows Defender antivirus, and they won't recommend that you use any cleanup utilities.
And with Geek Squad, I want to add, and this probably would include a subcontractor as well. They are required to try and sell you things. If they don't do it, they could end up losing their job.
Yeah.
Because they get a commission out of everything they help sell you. And I have seen at least one scam go on with somebody else who was a member of CCS that got snookered into believing what these people were saying to the tune of nearly $1,000. When I got involved, I managed to get almost all of his money back, but it took 2 months to achieve that.
Okay.
You got to be very, very careful. Right now, even on TV news stations, they are warning people. BBB is warning people. Scams have escalated. They are very, very sophisticated, and they're going to do any kind of a trick they can think up to separate you from your money. And I wouldn't, I have never recommended to anybody Geek Squad for anything, because in some stores, yes, you may have 1 or 2 people that have good quality skills, but most of the people in Geek Squad in most of the stores, you probably already know more than they do. And I'm not joking when I say that.
I can't argue with you at all. And I'm in the process right now of changing accounts because I think that these people that I was talking to don't know what they're doing. I think it is a scam. I'm swapping things around so they won't get a hold of the monies that I told them I was going to be giving them. I think it's a big scam. $1,200 for something.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee you that's a scam.
Yeah,
Wait
of
a minute. Did you sign a contract?
course not.
If you never sign a contract, you don't owe them 1 cent.
That's right. And if they want to try and collect, you start with BBB and FTC to report them. And
But in any event, about these programs, you can check off additional items in CCleaner, and that will give you a better cleanup. Some of these items, it's good to clean because there are some things that do accumulate in a browser, and that get a little on the messy side and can even slow the browser and slow its performance. Registry cleanup, no, that's not too important on a modern PC. However, if you do a lot of software upgrades, a lot of software updates and installs, you're going to accumulate a lot of junk in your registry, and it doesn't hurt to clean it.
No, I
usually, when you install a new program, it puts new entries in the registry. That's for a Windows type program. If you have a cross-platform program from the Linux world, they don't use the registry. And so it's easy to take the program out. But with the registry, when they put new ones in, they put in a lot of statements that never get used. They're there in case on your particular system, you may need some file associations and other things like that. So there is a certain amount of garbage that can collect in the registry. Cleaning it out a few times a year doesn't hurt because registry cleaners don't want to break your system and get blamed for it. So they are safe to take out only unused stuff out of the registry, making it a little bit smaller and slimmer. And the registry size determines in part how long it takes your computer to boot up.
Yeah, the other thing that these utilities are useful for, CCleaner, for example, can help you manage your restore points. CCleaner also has ways of managing startups, and it's got all these things all in one program. Glare Utilities is like that also, as Tim has indicated. And it's always nice to have things all in one place, so you aren't running all over the settings trying to figure out where everything is. The other thing that it's good to do once in a while is to make sure your drives are optimized. Trim for an SSD, defragment for a conventional hard drive. And these utilities also contain modules that can help with that. They can also help you uninstall supposedly built-in Microsoft Store apps, which otherwise you'd have a hard time removing if you didn't want them. The other thing they do is they both have some limited uninstaller capabilities, although I prefer using things like either Revo or Geek Uninstaller, because those will really do a thorough job of removing all traces, which would include empty folders and junk that might even be in your file system.
Okay,
Yeah.
Bert?
Tom, I think we got sidetracked a little bit because you said you went to them because you had a printer problem.
That's right.
So what kind of printer do you have and what was the problem?
Well, it's an Epson NX200. And it was an inkjet, and one of the cartridges, the yellow, always said it was full. So I did a test, and it never printed any ink. So I wanted to get the ink cartridge out. And the only way you could get the cartridges lined up to remove a cartridge is when one of them is empty. So I tried to get the thing to adjust to removal location. I just couldn't. And every time it tried to adjust, it would keep sliding away. And finally, it just stopped moving at all. So it's almost, I can say, jammed or something's worn out. I will probably have to buy a new printer.
Did you contact Epson?
I haven't got that. No, not Epson.
I mean, that's be the person, the vendor of the printer usually has some solutions for these kind of problems.
Well, in this case here, if I'm correct, the NX is probably too old a model. They may not support it anymore.
Yeah. It's probably at least 10 years old.
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah, that's unsupported, and they're not going to have any kind of a working solution in that normal respect. What they might be able to do is tell you an easy way of getting the cartridge out, but I'm not positive of that either. Inkjet cartridges frequently clog up, so you've got to run them periodically. If you get a new printer, look at Epson EcoTank inkjet printers or a laser printer. Depends on whether you want color or not. If you want,
I do want color.
then go with inkjet. It's the cheaper, but ink is expensive. But on EcoTank, you buy bottles and you squirt it in, and periodically it does a little head cleaning thing. You'll hear it run a little bit, and then it stops. And this is to keep the heads from getting clogged up, especially wintertime when the air inside is extremely dry. That's when inkjets have the biggest problem. You can get color laser jets, but they're a lot more expensive.
Yeah,
Try using YouTube. Go check the problem on YouTube, because they usually have a lot of examples of how to solve various different problems on YouTube.
That's a possibility. Try and look for your make and model printer first on the YouTube. And then try just generic printer problems, and you'll have to go through tons and tons of videos to find one that might be for an Epson printer. You want to say, like for example, Epson NX200 printer problem, and that would be your first search. The next one would be Epson printer troubleshooting. That way you get all Epsons, and you'll have to search through that to find if any of them refer to the NX100 like you have.
yeah. The other thing you'll have to decide is it worth your time and effort to revive this printer, or would it be better just to get a new printer?
And understand too, inkjet printers were designed to be practically a free giveaway because they make the money on that ink. And they, as soon as a model like NX200 is stopped being manufactured, there's no more driver updates for that ever. Maybe the next model is an NX210, then an NX220, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So basically, inkjets printers are considered disposable printers.
Yeah. There's very few places that will repair them.
Oh, very few. And the ones that exist will probably cost you more to repair it than to replace it.
Yeah.
With something new and modern.
I think Bert's been waiting a while with his hand up.
He still got it up. He didn't lower it.
Unmute. Unmute. Bert.
Your hand is up, Bert.
Unmute.
You're muted, Bert.
Bert,
Okay,
unmute. There.
Okay.
he took down the hand.
I
That's fine.
forgot to turn it off.
All right, I'm gonna, because of the hour, I'm gonna try and get into the presentation itself. So if we have, and I doubt, time afterwards, I'll let you know. And we can go back to more Q&A. Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna share. I think. Okay, hang loose for a minute. I've got to do some. Hit the wrong button. Darn it. Try that again. I got to do a little magic here if it'll let me to get rid of some things. There we go. All right. Now, wait a minute. I don't know how you got that one. Got wrong. Hang on here. Nothing. What you saw was not what was on my screen, so I don't know what the heck happened there. Let's try that again. What in the world?
It happened
I see
again.
what it's doing. Never mind. What it was is it's hiding it. All right. Now, wait a minute. Why did it? God. Oh, I'm having fun, folks. Now, we're going to see if we can do this one more time or I shoot somebody. There's the one I want. I want that one and only that one and nothing else. Finally! Gee, many Christmas. Okay. Oh, nuts. It turned off my sound sharing. Hang on a minute. There we go. Man, I'm having fun. Come on. What the heck? Man. I told them, shoot this thing one way or the other. Let's try it one more time and then I quit.
I've done tons of videos lately on how to customize Windows, and if you've been following the series, then you already knew that. But in every one of those videos, I've lost track of how many people have told me that I need to try WinArrowTweaker. So, that's what we're doing today. Stay tuned. So like I said in the intro, we've been doing a lot of videos lately on customizing Windows. We went over programs that'll do the customization for you, and I've even showed you how to manually set a lot of these settings in the registry itself. But you know what? In several of those videos, countless people have recommended WinArrowTweaker. And you know, to be honest with you, I've never even tried it before. In fact, I didn't even know it existed until you guys recommended it. So if you know of any programs that I haven't covered, don't hesitate to mention them in the comments below. I do read the comments, and I get a lot of the ideas for upcoming videos from you guys. My intentions were to do a pretty full review of WinArrowTweaker, but unfortunately, after playing around with it, this video would be a couple hours long if I actually covered the program in full. There's a massive amount of settings that you can change in this program. So I'm just going to be giving you a brief overview of some of the settings that jumped out to me to be noteworthy. So in order to cover as much of this as I can, let's get to it. Okay, so this video is going to be in Windows 10 because, to be honest with you, I noticed that in this program there's a lot of appearance tweaks and they really don't work that great in Windows 11. There is a Windows 11 section, and maybe I'll cover that in a different video. But for this video, we're just going to be looking at WinArrowTweaker from within Windows 10, just to get a better understanding of the massive amount of tweaks that this thing has available to you. So the first thing that we need to do is download it. So I got the website open right here, and I'll go ahead and link this in the description below. But if you search Google for WinArrowTweaker, you should be able to find it. So just scroll down, click on Get WinArrowTweaker, and then click again at Download right here, and it'll download the program. And then from there, we can go ahead and show it in a folder. I'm going to go ahead and close Chrome now, and we're going to extract this right here. So we're going to hit Extract All, push Extract, and there we go. So to set this up, all we got to do is double click on this application right here. Go ahead and click More Info and Run Anyway. Hit Yes to the user account control. And at this point, we just go through the setup like normal. Now, you can either choose to install this as a normal program, or you can set this up as a portable program. And me personally, if I have the opportunity to set something up as portable, that's typically the way I go. So that's the way I'm going to go in this one. So we're going to go ahead and hit Next, hit Accept, hit Next again. And then this asks you where you want the portable program to actually be stored. Well, I don't want it on the C drive, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Browse here. We're going to click here, go into Users, go under My Name, and click on Desktop. Hit OK, and then hit Extract Files. And that's all there is to it. We're going to go ahead and hit Finish. We can close the rest of these windows. And here's the program right here. So to run it, all we do is open up the folder and click on the executable within the folder. Go ahead and agree to the license agreement. Hit Yes to the user account control. And there we go, we're inside the program. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this in the background, and then we can kind of go through all the different categories in this program. So the first one here is just information. It gives you basic system information. It tells you what kind of system you're currently using, the processor, memory, your display resolution, things of that nature. So from there, we go into recent changes, and then this will actually show you different changes that you've made. So if you've used this program, but you can't remember which settings you changed, this will show you right here. So this is actually kind of neat to have this around. And then going down the list, we have managing bookmarks. So in bookmarks, if you have a tweak or something that you really like to use in here, you can go ahead and set a bookmark on it just by clicking on this little star right here. Unfortunately, I guess you can't bookmark the bookmark page, but if we go down to this one right here and we click on this star, it'll create a bookmark. And now when we go into managing bookmarks, it'll show them there, and it'll show the bookmark from within the list of bookmarks itself. So it is kind of a neat feature. So then going down the list, this is where we're going to kind of speed through this a little bit more, just to kind of make this video not as long as it could be. So obviously the first one I want to take a look at is Arrow Light. And what this one right here does is it actually enables a version of the Arrow theme that you would have seen in earlier copies of Windows. And this is one of the reasons I chose Windows 10, because this actually doesn't work in Windows 11 when I tried it. But to enable it, all you got to do is click on Enable right here, and it'll go ahead and take a little bit, and then once it fires up, then you have kind of like a Windows 7 look going on here, which I don't know, it looks kind of cool. And it also gives you there's some other appearance options right here that are also really useful. Like if we go to the Alt tab, you can change how the Alt tab looks. So if I go Alt tab right here, you can see an Alt tab menu that shows different applications that I currently have open. And you can see the background right here. See the darker background that we have? Well, what we can do is we can actually adjust the transparency in here. So if we want more transparency, or if we wanted to dim the background more, we can do that. And you can see it kind of changes the way that the Alt tab menu looks from within Windows. And then if we go down, we can go colored tile bars too. And if we enable colored tile bars, it kind of cleans up the arrow light that we actually set up before. It changes the colors for different title bars for different programs that you have open. And as you can see, the title bars look a little bit better in my opinion. So you can kind of go through the other appearance settings on your own leisure. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there is a lot of really cool stuff that you can do inside of here. So if we go down to our advanced appearance settings, you can change anything from the different horizontal and vertical spacing and icons to the way that the menu heights, the height that's used within menus right here is. You can change the scroll bars themselves. You can even reset all the advanced appearance settings if you mess something up. And another neat one that I liked right here is if you go down to Windows borders, you can change the width and padding itself for the borders themselves. So if we go ahead and do that, I'm going to go ahead and change my border to, let's say 5, and then we'll change the padding to, let's say 10. Now, to be able to change these Windows borders right here, one of the things that you have to do is you have to make sure that you're using the arrow light theme, because I got the colored title bars on, which is more like a Windows 8.1 style theme instead of the Windows 10 one. You have to turn arrow light on in order for them to enable. So once we click that on, you'll see that our borders and paddings definitely changed around the application itself. All right, from here, we're going to scroll down to the behavior settings right here. And I've got quite a few settings in here that I really wanted to point out. Like, for instance, we've got ads and unwanted apps. We can enable or disable different ad functions within Windows. Like, one of the ones that I really like is this welcome experience right here. And you know what? Let me explain to you why. Here's the thing with the welcome experience in Windows. Have you ever had one of those situations where you set Windows up without a Microsoft account, but every couple of days it's bugging you that you need to finish setting up your computer by creating a Microsoft account? Well, that's how you stop it. That setting right there is probably worth the entire program, but either way, that's one definitely I would change. But let's go ahead and look at some of the other ones they offer. Okay, some of the other options you have in here is like Ads in File Explorer, which honestly, that isn't even a thing, but it could be a thing at some point. So if it does become a thing, this is how you would disable it. Also, your start menu suggestions, and even your unwanted apps being installed automatically. And as you can see, once I check this, it asks me if I wanted to reboot. Some of these settings are going to require you to reboot your system, and some of them aren't. So keep that in mind too. But if you go down here, there's a lot of different things that you can change within this section right here. So I'm not going to reboot now, so I'm going to go ahead and click I'll do this later. And then another thing that I highly recommend changing in this thing is the automatic registry backup. Now, if you didn't know, since Windows 10 1803, as it says right here, Microsoft has turned off the automatic registry backup feature. And you know, this is a very useful feature, and it doesn't really take up much resources to have it do this on a regular basis. So I don't know why they disabled it, but I highly recommend turning it back on, and this is a really easy way to do it. Another setting inside of behavior right here that really intrigued me, but I have to warn you about, is this one right here, Enable Crash on Control Scroll Lock. So I just have to warn you real quick on that setting right there, because when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's neat. I can call up a blue screen whenever I want. So the first time I did, I bricked the system. And you know what? There was no way I could get out of it. I couldn't even use a system restore point to get out of it. I ended up having to restore the system from a backup copy that I had on another hard drive from an issue that I had a few weeks ago. So unfortunately, that right there caused me a ton of problems. However, once I set the system back up and I tried it again, I was unable to replicate the problem that caused the system to brick in the first place. So I don't know what caused it, but if you don't want a blue screen ruining your computer, maybe just don't play with that setting right there. I don't know. That's what I would recommend. Okay, we scroll down some of these other ones. We've got some other things here that are actually really neat too. Like for instance, this show BSOD and disable Smiley. I don't remember when Microsoft actually changed the BSOD screen, but the old one from the Windows 7 era really showed a lot of information. So if you'd like to get that one back, it's easy to do. You just check this right here and you can get that one back. But either way, I've kind of gotten used to troubleshooting a computer with the new BSOD, but it still might be nice to bring the old one back if you want to. But you know what? Another really cool setting in here is this one right here, where it says Windows Installer in Safe Mode. If you've ever tried to install or uninstall a program, usually this is in troubleshooting cases. You try to do it from within Safe Mode in order to have the computer in more of a clean boot setting. And unfortunately, the Windows installer doesn't work. But here's how you can get it to work. So I would highly recommend enabling this. I don't think there's any downside to it, but who knows, maybe there is. And you know what? There's lots of other things that you can do inside of this behavior section right here. But some of them I highly recommend against. Like for instance, don't disable Windows Update. I know a lot of people like to do that, but it's just not worth it. You need to get the latest updates for Windows. They have security updates that are really important to your system. So please, don't disable Windows Update. But some of these other ones actually could come in really handy. But once you get a chance to install the program, go ahead and scroll through them and mention in the comments below what's your favorite settings. But I'm going to scroll down to the next section, which is boot and login. And honestly, there was really only one setting right here that I really looked at that I liked, and that was the boot option setting right here. Because ever since Windows 8, they've taken away your ability to select safe mode and essentially your F8 boot menu that we've had for years now. This is how you can get it back right here. So you can turn on the Windows 7 like boot menu, or you can even always show the boot menu if you want to. And I thought that was a super helpful setting right here. So it's definitely one I would look at. You can also kind of go through here and you can change a ton of different settings. Some of these settings I've shown you how to set manually before, like the disable lock screen setting right here. This is one that I've shown you how to do in the registry before. But if you kind of go through here, there's tons of different settings within the boot login. You can even enable Control-Alt-Delete to log in for whatever reason you might want to. But this is definitely something that's going to take some time to dig into. So we're going to skip the boot login and we're going to go down to desktop and taskbar, which is the next section right here. Now, one of the settings in here that I thought was really neat was this one right here where it says Action Center always open. This may actually be kind of an annoyance to you at some cases. So if I click on the action menu here, you can see the action menu opens up. But if I click out, it goes ahead and closes again. Well, I might want to leave that open for some reason. Maybe I'm trying to copy something off, or maybe I'm trying to type something that it says into another program. So to make it stay open, go ahead and check right here. And then when you click on the Action Center and click out onto something else, it stays open for you. So I thought that was kind of neat. It might be a completely stupid setting that you guys don't like, but I thought it was pretty cool. And then the next one here is if you scroll down, if you look at right here, the Cortana change search bar text. This one right here is neat. And in order to see this, you actually have to have a search bar, which I typically turn off. So I'm going to turn my search bar back on real quick. And as you can see from the search box, it has a default text inside of there. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to put show the following text, and I'm going to type right here, this is a search box. Stupid. And then hit Restart Explorer, and this is going to go ahead and restart your Explorer, and there you go. You changed the text from within your search box. Now, this one right here, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I still think it's a kind of a neat trick, but ultimately, I typically hide my search box anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And in fact, speaking of the search box text, if you go down to disable web search, which this actually disables searching the internet from within Cortana. So if we check that, it makes you sign out in order to enable it. But once you enable that, it messes up your custom text within the Cortana search box. And then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here a little bit more. And then right here, this is another one I liked here. It was old volume control. And if you look at your volume control in Windows 10 or Windows 11, you have this little slider bar right here that we've gotten fairly used to. But do you remember what the old volume control looked like? Because I'm going to go ahead and check that one real quick. And then click on volume again. And there we go. There's the Windows 7 style volume control. So if you'd like to get that one back, there's a setting for it. And then this, I didn't even know was a thing, but if we scroll down here and we look at wallpaper quality, apparently Windows lowers the quality of your wallpaper from within Windows to 85%. Well, if you like your wallpaper to look nice and crisp, then you can drag this thing all the way up to 100 and have your wallpaper set to a more high quality wallpaper. So like I said, I didn't even know this was a thing. I never realized that Microsoft automatically lowered the quality of your wallpaper. And you know, the reason I didn't know about it is because once you change the setting to 100%, doesn't really make a difference. In fact, it looks exactly the same to me. So who knows? Maybe you have better eyes than me and you can see the difference, but 85% is pretty good. So let's get back to it. Okay, so the next section we're going to go into is context menu. And this one, I gotta say, this one's going to take a second to get through because there is so much cool stuff inside of here that it's going to take some time, unfortunately. But essentially, in the context menu, that's this menu right here. And this is the Windows 10 version. If you're in Windows 11, you have that stupid new context menu, but it's fairly easy to change back to this one. But what you can do here is you can go through, and there's tons of different programs and different tweaks that you can make to the context menu. Let me show you a couple. Like, for instance, let's go down to command prompt right here. From the command prompt, if we click add command prompt to the context menu, then we're going to go ahead and right click and you can see open command window here. But you know what? It's even better than that. Let me show you here. So if we open up a file explorer, go into C, go into Windows, go into users, and let's say I want to open one here. I can right click, hit open command window here, and there we go from C users. I think this is really useful right here, but it doesn't just stop there. If you scroll down, you can actually open command prompt as administrator too. So the same thing as before. If we right click here, you can see command prompt administrator. And then what it does is it actually opens one with administrator rights in the folder that you just were in. So that is hugely helpful. And as you can see, as we scroll through here, essentially all we're doing is just adding more and more stuff to the context menu. Like if we want control panel, let's add control panel. And there you go. There's control panel. It even allows you to list it in categories, large icons, or all tasks. So it gives you all kinds of different ways to access the control panel. And from in Windows 10, that's pretty handy since Microsoft's trying to hide it. And then even better, we got create a system restore point. So if we add that, then when we right click on the context menu, we can create a restore point. This would come in handy if you're doing lots of modifications like we've been doing lately. But if we keep going through here, we can do default apps, we can add encryption, and then continuing to go through here, we can kill non-responsive tasks. If we add that one there and then we right click, there you go, kill not responding tasks. Unfortunately, they're all responding at the moment, but that could come in handy in some cases. But we can go to group policy editor, we can open with for a batch file, we can add personalization, we can even say PowerShell as administrator. So if we were to check that, not only would we have our command prompt, but we'd also have PowerShell as well. But as you scroll through here, you can see that there are tons and tons of different settings. We've got reset permissions right here. Adding a reset permissions to the context menu could be huge because then if you're in a folder somewhere, like let's go back into their C drive, right click on users, we can go over to here and click on reset permissions, and we can reset permissions for the folder only or the folder and subfolders. So this is a hugely helpful setting in here. And the more you go through here, we can even restart Explorer. So if we check that one and we right click and we click on restart Explorer, then there you go, we can restart Explorer. That's another helpful one, so you don't have to open your task manager every time you want to restart it. But there is so much stuff in here that you're just going to have to go through it. We can even have the shutdown menu from within the context menu. We can even do it shut down instantly without a warning, but we're not going to do that now, otherwise it's going to mess up my screen recording. But you know what? This one here is best just to go through because, like, as you can see, there are tons and tons of different things that you can add from within the context menu. And everybody's preferences on this topic are going to be completely different. So the next one we're going to go into is settings and control panel. And this one here has a couple of really cool settings. Like, for instance, we can add personalization. We can add the classic personalization settings from previous versions of Windows. And also, this is one that was a really hard habit for me to break for a long time. But right right here is Windows Update. And if you come into Control Panel, which I'm going to right click here and go to our Control Panel link that we just did, go into Categories, you used to be able to go into Systems and Security, and there used to be a Windows Update setting in here. Unfortunately, it took me a while to break that habit of wanting to go to Windows Update through the Control Panel. But now you can go here, you can click here, and now when we go back into Control Panel, go back into Categories, go into Systems and Security, and there's Windows Update. Now, of course, it jumps into the Windows setting version of Windows Update, but that's okay. At least it's an easy way to get to it. So the next one I'm going to go into is File Explorer. And this is another one that has tons of different settings. And I'm not going to be able to look at them all, but we're going to look at a couple of them real quick. For instance, if you go down here, you can see Customize Quick Access Items. And this one right here is definitely just something for looks. But if you come down here and open up File Explorer, you can see your quick access right here with the little star. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and we're going to change this. We're going to say Stuff I Like, and then we're going to browse for a new icon. And you know what? Let's use the RAM chip, and we'll hit OK. Go ahead and hit Apply Changes, and it's going to want to restart Explorer. And then once Explorer is restarted, we can go ahead and open our File Explorer again. And as you can see, now it says Stuff I Like with a little RAM chip on it. So yes, this is a stupid and useless setting, but I think it comes in kind of handy. And even better is if we come in here, we can customize this PC folders too. And we can customize not only the location, but also the different settings from within our different folders for customizing the This PC section. That's essentially all of these right here. Because if you come on this PC, these are all your pictures, your music, your downloads, your documents, things of that nature. And then another one that I thought was really neat is right here, this default drag and drop option. Typically, there is a system default. For instance, if you are moving a file or if you're dragging a file, and essentially all that is if you had a file in one folder and you grab it and drag it over to another folder, it typically will move the item if it's on the same hard drive. But if it's on a different hard drive, then it will copy it. But here, you can change that to you want it to move all the time, or you want it just to copy all the time, or you can even have it set to just create the shortcut to the original file. Now, the create shortcut one would drive me insane, but at least it's an option. And then another thing is we can come down here and we can go to File Explorer starting folder. Now, typically it opens to home or quick access. So if you open File Explorer, it opens up to the home page like this. It's called Stuff I Like now because we changed it. But if we change that, we can actually go to this PC if we want. And now if we open up File Explorer, it goes to this PC instead. But even better, and this is a setting that I didn't realize was possible, but you can also have it just go straight to downloads. So then if you open this, it goes right to your downloads folder. So that's definitely a useful setting. I typically keep mine on this PC, but this is one that you can also change from within File Explorer. The only problem is you only have the choice of this PC or home. You don't have the choice to downloads. So if you want to use downloads, you have to do it through this program or through the registry directly. And then another thing is hide hard drives. Do you ever have a hard drive that you just don't want people to have access to? Well, you can hide it if you want. So we're going to go ahead and click on C right here, hit Restart Explorer, and now when we open up our File Explorer, go into this PC, we have no hard drive. You know, this might come in really handy if you have a computer that you really don't want people messing around with the hard drives. Just hide the drive. But for us, we're going to definitely get our C drive back. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so as we scroll down here, let's go into the networking section. And from networking, there's tons of different networking things that you can do from within here. You can change the way the administrative shares function. You can change the way the computer's firewall works. Or you can do stuff like change the RDP port, which might be a good idea if you're using a remote desktop. And you know, another really cool setting here, and it's a setting that I've had to do manually in the past, so it's really nice to know that there's a way to do this without doing it manually, is right here. It's network drives over UAC. And you may not realize how important this is, but there are certain circumstances where you really want elevated accounts to be able to access your map network drives. So the next category is different user account controls. So one thing is, like, for instance, the built-in administrator. If you want, you can enable the administrator account from here. You can even disable UAC, which probably isn't a great idea, but I do lower the UAC settings on my test systems here just to make it better, because if you open up the UAC settings, typically this is the default. I drop it down 1 so it doesn't black the screen when I have to hit yes to a user account control prompt. And the reason I do that is because if I don't, then my screen capture only captures a black screen. You can't actually see the pop-up. So that's the reason why I do it. But if you'd like to disable it, you can do that right here. Or if you want, you can even enable UAC for the built-in administrator account, which, to be honest with you, to me is kind of a contradiction, because if you're already the administrator, why would you need administrator permission? I don't know. Okay, so in the next section, we've got Windows Defender. And honestly, some of these settings I don't recommend changing. Like, for instance, I don't recommend disabling Windows Defender. But if you'd really like to, you can do it from within here. You can even disable the Windows security tray icon if you want to. But remember, you really need to have an antivirus. So if you're not using Windows Defender, then go ahead and disable it if you want. But Windows does automatically disable Windows Defender when you install another antivirus. So these ones right here, honestly, there's not a whole lot of changes I would do in this section. Now the next one is right here where it says Windows Apps. And there's a lot of different things in here that would come in really handy. Like, for instance, the auto update store apps. This right here disallows Windows from automatically updating apps that were downloaded from the App Store. And you know, I don't install any apps from the App Store, so this is definitely one I'd like to disable. And also, you can even disable Cortana from within here, as well as many other different settings, like disabling Windows Ink. You can even change the Edge download folder from within here, or you can stop Edge from pre-launching Windows. And you know, if you don't use Edge, this one right here actually would be a really, really good one to set, because who wants Edge running in the background if you don't use Edge as a browser, right? But from there, we're going to go ahead and move on down here to privacy. And in privacy, you got a couple of settings here, like disable password reveal button. You can also disable telemetry, which honestly, I don't really know exactly what this setting does. I'm assuming this just disables the telemetry service, but I might be wrong on that one. So if you want to play around with it, go ahead and play around with it, and then let me know in the comments. And then moving on, we go down to shortcuts. This is a really cool section. In fact, this is probably one of my favorite sections. But this allows you to create shortcuts for a numerous amount of different things. Like, for instance, if we want a classic shutdown shortcut, we can go ahead and set it here, click Create Shortcut, and there we go. It creates a shortcut on your desktop for your shutdown. Or you can even come down here, and if you'd like, you can disable the text that says dash shortcut, or you can even disable the arrows that are on shortcuts. You can either go to the classic arrow or no arrow. So as you can see right here, we have the little arrow right here for our shutdown. If we click Restart Explorer, there we go. There's no more arrow. And you know what? It's not just shutdown either, because there's lots of different things you can do here. If you go into this shutdown right here, you can even have restart. So if we create a shortcut, there's a shortcut for restart. So there's lots of different things you can do in here. You can even have a shortcut just for safe mode specifically. So right there, I'm going to go ahead and start a safe mode shortcut. We can have safe mode or normal mode. And now moving on here, if we go down into tools, there's a couple of really cool things you can do in here too. Like, for instance, you can change your OEM information if you want. If you have a Dell or an HP or something like that, it's going to be all Dell's or HP's information in here. You can either reset it or you can change it to whatever you want. But other than that, there's tons of different tools in here that you can go through and play with. Anything down from System Restore to Local Group Policy Editor. And then from there, we're going to scroll down to the next section, which is Getting Classic Apps. And this gives you several really cool options. Like, for instance, activating Windows Photo Viewer. This is the old style Windows Photo Viewer. Or you can even come down and you can get the classic games for Windows 7. So if you like the old Solitaire better than the new one, this is the way to do it right here. You can get sticky notes. You can even get desktop gadgets if you want to from the Windows Vista days. So, as you can see, this program is absolutely huge in regards to the amount of things you can change, at least. There are several things, like I mentioned before, that I highly recommend against changing. Namely, some of them are the security features and absolutely Windows Update. Don't disable Windows Update. It's not worth it. Just because you have the ability to do something doesn't mean you should. But you know what? Make sure you mention in the comments below what settings are your favorite from this program. Personally, my favorite is the ability to add utilities to the Windows context menu. And you know, with that said, I think one of the coolest features of this program is the ability to research how each setting can be changed manually. I really like the amount of time that they have taken into writing articles showing exactly what each setting does. This truly is going up and above what you see on most customization programs like this one. In fact, I can't recall a single time I've ever seen this done before. But you know, one of the downsides to this program is that unlike other programs I've covered recently, this one is not open source. Now, you know what? Even though it is freeware, it would be nice to be able to dig through the code and see how it works. But with all that said, if you like customizing Windows, then don't forget to check out this playlist here, where I have all the videos from this series and a few videos that I've done in the past on this subject. You guys have a great day.
Okay, I'm gonna stop that. It was about at the end anyhow. And let's see here.
So that you don't run into the same problems that I had.
Oh,
Stay tuned.
Be quiet.
Is your copy of Windows 10 unactivated? Well, it doesn't have to be.
Man, when this thing wants to run away, it runs away. All right. One thing that I want to try and do. I've been using WinAir on 10 and 11 for a number of years. And this guy is gonna mess me up a little bit. And now I gotta tell it I am in charge. By the way, that doesn't want to do what you want it to. Now, I'm gonna see if I can. Yeah, good. Okay. This is mine on here, and this is on 11 right now. So what you will see in here is this one category called 11. And these are strictly things that you can do on 11, you don't do on 10. One of them that I really like is this third item, disable background apps. In 10, if you go under privacy settings, you have an option there to turn off all background apps with one switch, or you turn off each individual switch that's on that you do not want on. So there may be some items you do want to run in background. This one in 11 does not allow you to easily turn off background tasks. In fact, it makes it difficult to turn off a lot of stuff you really don't need running in the background. So this option gives you that capability. I'm going to go back up here to the top, and this is the list of changes I have made on mine. The most recent change is always at the top and the oldest towards the bottom. So
You're not displaying, it's showing YouTube with some sort of a video here.
Ooh, yeah, you're right. Hang on a minute here. Let's see if I can. Why is it showing that? I'm going to have to get into the sharing again. Hang loose. Why is this thing driving me up a wall? There it is. And stop sharing. I'll try sharing again and give it just what I want. Thank you for letting me know about that. All right, now this is all the stuff I have changed. I recommend two things. One, only do a couple of changes at a time with this, see what happens. Some of them will require you to do a restart, but a lot of them will change without a restart, and some will activate the next time you do reboot. Now, if I can show it, I don't know if I can. Hang on. Okay, it's not doing what I want, so I'm gonna skip that. But in 11, you come down here from the context, and you got Microsoft Edge, and it looks different than what it did in 10. The first one through the fifth one, I disable. I also used to disable sidebar, but if you do that, Copilot may not work. Also, if you disable Cortana, it will not work. And sometimes this utility automatically checks disable Cortana. And it may or may not work with Copilot, but I think they're using Cortana in the background, so to speak, if you want to turn on the microphone and speak your question or problem that you're trying to get Copilot to help you out with. The last one is disable updates. I never would disable updates to a browser. Browsers are one of the biggest attack targets. So far, Chrome browser itself has had 6 emergency updates already this year. And we're only at the beginning of June. So you got to be careful about that. Coming back up at the top in a context menu, there is down in here some neat little ones in here. There's also one here that's Copilot. You can add Copilot to the desktop context menu. I haven't done it, and I don't see a reason to do it. Copilot's in Edge browser, and if you got 11, even 10 now, should show you the Copilot independent icon on your taskbar. But you come down a bit and repair Windows image. Sometimes things get jazzed up in your Windows installation. That comes in handy to have available. Having a run as always variable option is another one. The safe mode context menu. I have that because even though he showed you up higher in the behaviors, the ability to turn on an F8 type thing, every time you restart your computer, you get that. And if you're wanting to go into normal run mode, you have to bring it down to the bottom entry for normal startup. And the easiest way to do that is to hit the up arrow button, and it comes down to the bottom, comes back up to the one that says normal. And once you've got that accomplished, you can continue on most of the time. but it's there in case you run into problems and you got to go into safe mode. Well, this is a second way of getting into the safe mode, and there's actually a third way that I know of in here that you can be able to bring up safe mode when something suddenly happens, as long as you can still get into your system. If you can't get into your system, that's a different issue. Now you got to use a recovery disk or a install media to do repairs on your Windows first to get it running again. SFC scan now, I can run from a context menu entry. So this gives me some extra tools, easier to get to than bringing up a terminal and trying to run some of these same kind of commands manually. So I've been using this for quite some time. You do have a plethora of stuff here. They give you a general description of what each one of these things do. Read it. Try and understand it. If you still don't grasp it, try looking up a Google search to see if you can find better ways of describing what this thing is talking about. It is a fantastic little tool. I have, like I say, right now I've got about 15, maybe a little more in vogue, including getting rid of those ads, etc. This helps. It doesn't get rid of everything. Most ads that pop up in the bottom right corner are programs that you have installed, and one of its DLL files in the application is what launches that ad. And those you can't get anything that I know of to block it. So this is what the little animal looks like. I thought about bringing this up a long time ago, but never did get around to it. So since I had a sub for Sanford, I decided, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. I do have, yeah, I know you stopped. I do have, hang loose here, share again, a different screen, and hide that again. All right, now I do have other references to other videos like this one here. This is another person's view of using the same tool. Here's the Arrow Tweaker website. A couple of things that they posted. This is MUO, but I wanted to come down to this one here. This is something that's very old. I've known about it. I've used it some. SysInternals used to be an independent third-party software developer, kind of like WinArrow. And they've made over 70 tools. Microsoft bought them out, and Microsoft employees maintain and update and upgrade these tools. You can download individual tools, and this gives you some of the history of more recent changes that they've done. It also gives you the ability to download the whole suite of tools, and you have them all at your beck and call. Now, SysInternals, this gives you a little history of it in what it is all about, how it came about. And this one here is a reference to Microsoft's own site of SysInternals. The first one allows you to download the whole suite. If not, you can go down through all the tools they have out there with a brief description of what they may do. Don't expect it to be in depth. And you can learn about them. But if you want to learn how to use specific tools, there are a lot of YouTube videos that will help you learn how to understand and use specific tools under sysinternal utilities. Is there anybody with any questions on this? Did I put everybody to sleep? Okay.
Time to research it, that's all.
Yeah. I'll play this one here because it isn't real long.
What you guys today we're taking a look at how to make Windows 11 better with Winero Tweaker. Now Winero Tweaker is a free tweaking tool so you can tweak to your art's content on Windows 10 and Windows 11 and other previous versions of Windows as well, as it lists on their site. It's packed with features and it's a pretty good tool for customizing Windows to get it to exactly how you like it without going into the registry and going into other complicated areas of the operating system. You can do it all from this user interface. So all I'm going to do here is extract the files and put them onto my desktop into a folder, and then we can install it from there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the actual program. Here it is here. It's a very small program. There is a batch file here to do a silent setup if you wish, but we're just going to go through the motions here and run this anyway on this system. And once this is installed, we'll be able to tweak our operating system. So it's pretty straightforward. You can either use it in portable mode. So if you don't want to install anything, you can set up portable mode right here. I'm just going to go normal mode and get this all set up and running. So let's go through the motions here and click next, next, and next again. And again, you guessed it, next again, and then install. And then run the program. But before we do that, let's have a quick word from today's sponsor, CD Key Sales. If you're looking for a cheap Windows 10 Pro OEM key, then check out the links in the video description. Click on one of those. It will take you to CD Key Sales. You can create yourself a user account, then choose your product.
Wonder why it stopped.
What you want to buy, click on the buy now. And in the promotion code, put in my capital B, capital R09 and apply this to your order. And you should see a nice juicy discount there of about 30%. That will bring the price down. Click the buy now button and then head over to the activation center in your chosen Windows operating system and click activate, and it will activate your version of Windows. So back to Winero Tweaker. As you can see here, we're starting off with the system information. This will give you the information of the system, what CPU you've got, what RAM, and what display, and all that sort of good stuff. We do have a manage bookmarks here for your browser bookmarks. We're going to skip that and move on to Windows 11, where we can do the classic menu, context menu. You can do the classic taskbar, disable background apps, and a bunch of other things inside this area here. Once you've made your selection by putting a check mark in, you can restart Explorer, or you can do this later after you've done all your changes. So go through and make all of your useful changes on your Windows 11 system. You can see here we've got the classic taskbar here. If you want to enable that feature, just put the check mark inside here and it will allow you to enable it. Disable background apps. You can go ahead. I've already got mine disabled as I've run this program before, but you can put your check mark in here and it will disable all those background apps for you. Great if you're a little gamer on a little low budget system. We can also see here, remove Windows Spotlight desktop icon. We also have some other useful ones like taskbar size. This is going to allow you to change the taskbar size from normal to large to small to system default, whatever you want to set yours to. And you can also set inside here the taskbar tray icon row number. And you just go in here and select this, 2 rows, 3 rows, and so on. You'll notice on all of these little tweaks, there's going to be a little description area where you can read it and tell you what exactly it does. Moving on to the appearance section here, the appearance will allow you to change the color title bars and a bunch of other things on here. You can move on to the advanced appearance settings here, and this will allow you to change the icon size and things like that, the spacing and other little tweaks like that as well. We've got the menu section and a bunch of other ones here we can change here for smaller or larger menus depending on how you want to adjust yours. It's pretty straightforward. Once you've done this, you can click on the apply changes and it will make changes to that. You can also change the font as well in that section. Moving on further down, we do have some other things here like the behavioral side of things, which is going to be able to control whether you want them to push ads to you. And you can block all of these by just check marking these. Automatic registry backups, another useful little feature of Wonero. And we also have some other useful ones like default action for shutdown dialog, disable aero shake, and also disable aero snap. Also some other useful ones if you are on multi monitors where you can disable these aero snap and aero shake and things like that. Now we also have some other useful ones in here. I'm not going to cover every single one of them because there's absolutely a ton of them here, but we do have some really useful ones like disable the downloads blockage. You can disable this. Now the blockage will stop files from coming down because of the security side of things, and some people find that a bit of a nuisance, so you can disable that feature. I wouldn't advise you doing it just in case it's something malicious you're downloading. The other one is disable driver updates, which can help if Microsoft is forcing drivers on you that are not compatible and it's causing a reboot loop or something like that. You can disable that feature right here. Now they do have some other things here like disable smart screen, which again I don't like disabling because it is a security feature that does protect you, but it also nags a lot of people, especially gamers. But if you want to keep that feature on, I'd leave that alone. Again, disable timeline and disable Windows updates. It says it all right there. If you're one of those people that like to disable your updates, you can do it right here by putting the check mark in this and basically sign out the PC and sign back in. You also got this little reset page to default section up on every section. So if you want to go back, you just push that reset to defaults and it will all go back to default settings. There's a bunch of other ones inside here like error reporting and enable other things like crash and control delete and screen lock and things like that. You can set all that inside here as well. We've got key thumbnail cache, hibernation options inside here. So if you want to disable all that sort of stuff or enable it, you can do. Again, we've got plenty of decent other tweaks on here. I'm not going to cover every single one of them, but one of the good ones I think here is the power throttling. And it tells you all about what power throttling is. And as the title suggests, power throttling. Throttling means slowing down and basically throttling the CPU. So you can see there is a setting here for you to disable the power throttling if you wish. And you can read that little description. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but basically it's pretty self-explanatory once you read that. And if you want to disable it, you just put a check mark in it. Again, we can come down the order here. There's a bunch of other stuff here. Restore point frequency and a bunch of other things in here which could be useful. I can also see on here USB write protection and another one there which is quite useful, Windows installer in safe mode. That's quite useful as well, and you can enable these features by again putting the check mark into these and it will enable these features. So pretty good. Moving on down to the boot and log on, and again there's a bunch of stuff inside here which is quite useful. Auto repair and boot, and we also have another one here, boot options, so you can change your boot options inside here if you want to. Again, be very careful when you're messing around with some of this stuff. If you don't understand it, then leave it well alone. You might want to create a system restore point before doing all these tweaks, just in case you forget what you've checked.
I'm going to stop it there because it's getting late. I'll put in the chat my document. Let's see here. Side chat. And okay, in chat, I do have a document now called CCS June WES 3 little dots. Click on that. You can download your own copy. You'll see all the videos, other references that I brought up in there. like I said, I have quite a few different settings, but I took them a few at a time to see what happened, how they looked, how they worked and acted before I went on and added more. So do this as a gradual basis to build up what you would like to see in your system, and it'll make you a lot happier, especially if a lot of people don't like the look and feel of Windows 11. Well, you might be able to change the appearance enough that it looks like 7, 8, 10, and maybe you'll feel more comfortable even though you're still running 11. Don't expect everything to suddenly work and act like 10, 8, or 7 really did work. You're still going to have a lot of the look and feel of 11, even if you give the general appearance of being an older version. There are other programs that are created. They start off with a name of Star Desktop or something like that, and they've had quite a number of ways of changing the start menu and other look and feel of newer versions of Windows to resemble and work similar to an older version of Windows, because some people just are not flexible and adaptable to change. But this should give you something to think about. This is not everybody's cup of tea, but it is a great little utility. I have used a number of the features. One of the headaches that you really have is something happen in your system. It might still be running, but what you are experiencing, maybe you need to get into safe mode, and they don't make it easy to get into safe mode. At least this tool will give you the ability to do that. You can also run SFC scan now without opening up a terminal and typing that in. If you need to do a repair, you can run the DISM utility right from a context menu entry and be able to get everything you want and need accomplished without opening up a terminal and feeling overwhelmed by a DOS type prompt. Carl?
Yeah, I don't see a link to any tools. I see something that says CCS June, meeting link.
Yes, that's what that is. It's not a link. You click on that and it will download, put on your system a copy of my file.
Well, I see it shows your systems folder, all your files in your systems folder when I click on it.
That would be a first. On my systems and everybody that I know of, you click on the file. It's showing me right now my content of that file because it just plain opened it. But if you click on that little green check mark, it should give you a Windows File Explorer window to either your download folder or your documents folder, depending on how yours is set up. And it should put that document in that one of those two folders.
Well, when I click and I see system 32 of your machine, the first file was 0409. The next one is advanced installers, and then AM-ET, Apple loader, appraiser.
You're looking at your system's file explorer. I don't know if it's the download folder or documents folder. And it's telling you, I have this file name down towards the bottom. I want to create a file with that name in whatever folder you're looking at right now. But that's not my system you're looking at. That's your system.
Well, the file name says CCS June Westside Computer Club articles.
Yes, that's
Right.
correct. That's what you're
It's a Word
I'm
document.
confused.
That's what you're downloading from me in the Zoom meeting.
It's a Word document. It's a Word document. You got to download the Word document.
You don't have it yet until you say save.
Oh, okay, well, I'll try save, see what happens.
Then
It
you'll have
said, you don't have permission to save this location. Contact the administrator to save permission.
I don't know where your system opened up to. You're in File Explorer. Usually on the left side of File Explorer is a column of folders and file locations. And you would select either downloads or select documents folder. And then when you hit save, it'll put it in those areas. But apparently, whatever your system opened up to is an area you don't have the rights to write that file out to.
Well, let me try doing it again because it did change the location from System 32 to documents. So let me do
Did the same to me.
save.
Told it go ahead and put out the documents, and it did put it in documents.
Okay, well, I think I saved it in documents. I have to look. But it looks like I saved it down, but originally it defaulted to my System 32 folder.
That's because
Mine
of
too.
something in the setting of your system. When you opened up to be able to save it, it says, I want to open up the system Windows folder, System 32 subfolder, and it won't let you write anything out there.
Right. Okay, well, I should be able to see it in either, it looks like it's in my documents folder and I'll look in it, but I don't want to do it now because I don't want to lose my connection.
Okay. Anybody got anything else before we call it a night?
Well, it's all very good information as usual.
No,
Very
I
good.
have lousy information.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't say good. He did not say it wasn't good for nothing.
Yeah. Hey,
It's good information, good for nothing.
I know I'm techie, and a lot of the information I give is techie oriented. A lot of people don't understand a lot of tech, and I don't know how to adjust my stuff down to that level. So I have to keep doing it the way I do it, and this is one of the topics. Now, on the 12th is the TNT SIG. I don't know if I'll be subbing for that one or if Sanford will be back. Then on the 14th, let me double check that.
I
No.
think you're in the wrong month.
No. It wasn't the 12th, it's the 11th. 11th of
11th,
June
right.
is TNT. And then on the 18th is South Suburban Computer User Group. On
Yeah.
the 20th is Northwest Computer Group with Ed Keating. And Linux is on the 25th.
Yeah.
Yep, that checks out with my calendar.
Yeah.
That's okay. I keep saying the 12th, and I'm not sure exactly why, but I know it's the 11th.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, I'm in my documents folder. What file should I be looking for?
CCS June West Side articles.
Okay, I see a lot of folders, so it wouldn't be a folder. Just
No,
be
it wouldn't be a
file?
folder. Usually folders are on top, And then
Yeah.
below that are individual files, and you're looking for an individual file.
Click on the date and it'll come up to the very top of the list.
Well, you can also click on date sequence, and since he just put it in there, it'll be on top.
Right.
Yeah, well, when I do that, it sorts the,
Right. It changes the sort sequence.
okay, so is your file date, March 21 then, 2024?
No, it says CCS June West Side articles. That's the title.
Let me click
If
on
you
name.
do it by
maybe
date,
that'll-
it should be today's date, because that's when you wrote it out to the file.
Yeah.
Well, I click on date modified and I don't get today's date at the top.
Click it again. It'll
Okay.
one is ascending sequence and one is descending sequence. Each time you click it, it flips back and forth.
Right.
No, I go from March to April.
Yeah, but
back
look at
and
your
forth.
slider on the side.
Oh,
Is it at the top or at the bottom?
it's at the top. The slider on the right side is at the top.
Okay, click that date sequence again. It should reverse the order and make sure that slider's at the top again.
Well, the top one is March 21 of this year.
Are you sure you downloaded into your in the right directory there?
Well, no.
Let me make
That's a
this
good question. Maybe I downloaded in my,
You put it in documents. In your list of files that are out there, go down to where it's the word documents and click on that.
you know what it is? I'm in OneDrive documents.
Yeah,
Good question.
that's a
So
heading
let
too.
me- So how do I find the other? Let's see.
The other, just go down towards this PC, and right above it is the shortcuts to your local drive.
And you want the documents under your C drive, not out in
No.
OneDrive.
Yeah.
You won't see it if you look at C drive.
Well, I hit local disk C.
So you
Now
have,
here's this PC. So I'm in this PC.
no, this PC will only show you the drives, and you don't want the C drive because that doesn't show you documents and downloads and videos, etc. Right
No,
above.
I clicked on documents, but I'm in OneDrive again. I gotta get out of OneDrive somehow. Let me go up folders.
It depends on how yours is structured.
I'm stuck in OneDrive on my desktop OneDrive. I don't know. Let's see.
Well, that may be the way you it was set up, and that's not easy to get out of, but there are ways of doing it.
Okay, but that's my problem. I'm stuck in OneDrive documents. I'll figure it out now that I know the problem.
All right,
Thank you.
I'll send you my invoice.
Okay, the check's in the mail already, so you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's that's faster that way. All right. If there's nothing else, then I guess we'll wait until the 11th for the next meeting.
Yeah, I got to tell you a quick story. We have my local paper here in Troy. They publish scams, and arrests by the police and things. And some guy gave some woman online, bought $400,000 worth of gold,
Oh yeah.
and of course, that was like in last October. And then he wanted to get some of his money back. And of course, he's getting nowhere, went to his police and then went to his son and said, "You've been scammed." I'd like to $400,000 of no gold.
Hey, there's a lot of people that do very dumb things, and she got hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And she's
really.
not the only one. There's
No,
millions.
no, that's right. Well, it must work because it keeps going on, huh?
That's right. And
Yep.
it's getting worse.
Thanks, Tim. Good show. I'm glad I attended.
Well, okay. Maybe we'll see you at another one of ours.
But
we
by
got-
the way, I sent you an email of my computer configuration, the about and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look at it.
Thanks again.
All right, everybody, let's have a good night, and hopefully the rest of the month goes well too. Talk to you later.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, good night.